Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's North Carolina Botanical Garden Lunchbox Talk program. My name is David Michaud, and I serve as our program and engagement coordinator here at the Garden. And I'm joined in the back of the room by Shakita Holloway. She's one of our wonderful horticulture technicians who keep this place looking lush and lovely all year round. Both of us will be behind the scenes on Zoom, assisting our online audience, of which we've got a great crowd there. For those in the room, we're going to ask that you save your questions till the end of the program, just so that we can bring a microphone around to you so everyone in the room can hear your question and those online can also hear it. So those of us in the room got a little bit of pre-show entertainment from Derek, but I'll introduce him to those of you online who missed that show. Following in the footsteps of notable Black plant researchers and scientists like George Washington Carver and Percy Julian is no easy task, but Derek Haynes is more than up to the challenge. Plants offer so much more than home decor, and Derek wants to show you how. He understands that the ancient and modern don't need to compete, but rather can work together in harmony, offering viable solutions to pressing questions like food insecurity and mind, body, spirit, holistic wellness. With Craven County roots, merging together education, his signature wit and humor, and his keen love for plants and science, Derek uses a background in non traditional plant based technologies and plant biology to pull the traditional knowledge of our ancestors into the mainstream. Known affectionately as the Chocolate Botanist on Instagram, Derek has built a community of over 70,000 like minded people who have come to respect both his incredible depth of knowledge and the palpable joy he cultivates with the subject matter. His earnest passion has landed him features in The Guardian and Lifehacker, and he has been a guest on renowned podcasts like Black in the Garden and In Defense of Plants. More recently, he was a guest of Governor and First Lady Stein to take part in a creator roundtable at the governor's mansion. Derek's also a educational, or Derek is also a board member, partner, and friend of the North Carolina Botanical Garden, and has led educational workshops on botany and plant science. And I've seen him here more than one time introducing our site to friends that have been visiting him in the area. Through his designated commitment to fostering community and providing the necessary tools to expand knowledge, Derek is solidifying his place in the plant world, continuing to pave a new and sustainable path for the next generation of young Black botanists. So, Derek, I welcome you to come up front and do what you do best.
All right. Can y'all hear me okay? We're good? Okay, this is great. Thank you, David. I forgot how long my bio was. I was like, my God, I had like a word count or something for that, didn't I? I had to cut that down. So we are going to be doing great today. I am Derek Haynes, the chocolate botanist, and we are going to be talking about vanilla. Vanilla is a plant that all of you are familiar with. And keep in mind, there are seats in the front. There are seats in the front. I'm not scary anymore. I don't attack people no more. I got fixing and help for that. So we're going to be talking about the ethnobotany of vanilla and its connection to Black history. Now, ethnobotany is two words with one meaning, right? We have two words with one meaning: ethno, people; society; botany, the study and history, science of plants. We're going to be looking at the societal impacts that this plant has had, its historical, scientific information, okay? Now, vanilla, contrary to what you all think, is very Black. Now, I know you're thinking, when you consider the color vanilla, what do you typically think of? Specifically you right here. White. Exactly. Thank you. I paid her for that answer. $50 worth well. When you have that color white in your mind, it doesn't really relate to how Black the plant is, not just the pod, the dried bean, but the actual historicity of the peoples that have worked with it have been Black and brown. Now, it is so much more than a bleached concept that you have typically gotten. It is way deeper than normal or regular, right? Its history of this orchid. This plant is an orchid, is rich, it's bursting with life, it's rich with flavor, and it's really a queen that we should reverence. So over the course of this, we're going to talk about vanilla's history, right? I'm going to go a little fast because this is one of my longer presentations. I have a lot of stuff I want to show people, and I could just never figure out how to cut everything out. So y'all just gonna have to follow with me. I'm grabbing your hand and we're dragging, okay? This course is aiming to provide you a nuanced understanding of vanilla's, move this mouse here, that is distracting me. There we go. nuanced understanding of vanilla's botanical origins, highlight the pivotal role of Edmond Albius in its cultivation, and address historical nuances surrounding Black communities and their relationship with vanilla. This is kind of our objectives here. We're also going to explore vanilla's cultural significance in Mexican and African cultures and offer insights into its diverse culinary and cultural roles globally. So we're doing a lot. We have a lot to go over. I don't want your eyes to glaze over, so luckily enough, y'all are eating lunch. Get your blood sugars up real high. Side note, as we go into this, right, we're gonna have some house rules, and then we're gonna have a side note of this side note. First things first, I want you to hold your questions until the end. I know you are bursting with questions. I know it. Hold them, please, because I get distracted easy. My attention span is nothing, okay? The train of thought I have derails often. It's a horrible tragedy. Nobody could ever stop it. That was a joke. Part two, there are no stupid questions. There's no such thing. Whatever question you have crossing your brain, ask me. The house rule 3, participate when possible. There'll be times where I'll ask you all to participate. Those of you online, I want you to also participate because you think I can't hear you, but I can. And lastly, 4, that was a joke. The people in here, y'all gotta laugh. Y'all gotta loosen up a little bit. Y'all gotta know my humor a little bit. Come on, let's wake it up. We're gonna laugh, we're gonna learn, and we're gonna have fun, okay? A lot of jokes, a lot of information, a lot of good stuff. Now, as I'm going through this presentation and I'm talking about the historical perspectives that we know and that we understand and that we have access to of this plant that was related heavily to the Totonac people of Mexico, different Mexican cultures, different African cultures, different historicities of it all. I can only present what I have. And this is a long here blurb here that I typed up with the help of my good cousin and friend, ChatGPT. With that, thank you. We're waking up. We got it. We're getting the laughs together. With that, I want to say, all of this information I have is presented through the lens of colonialization. Colonialization, unfortunately, even though vanilla isn't bleached, is the bleach that erases a lot of historical information. We know only what we know, we have only what we have, right? So, everything good? I'm good? Okay, good. So, we only have the information that we have, so keep that in mind. When you're learning any historical context, oh, there's so many people here, they're having to bring chairs. Look at y'all. Chapel Hill showing out for me. Go on, stuff. I love this. So, ignore the people behind me. We're going to keep going. Be encouraged, right? When you are looking up historical information on plants that related non-white peoples, keep that limitation in mind. We only have what we have. There's stuff that's lost to history that we can never reclaim. Okay? So, I have this quote here. This is going to be the participation part. I want my friend here in this blue shirt with this awesome beard. That's you. You look down at it. I want you to read that for me as loud as you can.
Anything will give up its secrets if you love it enough. Dr. George Washington Carver.
Anything will give up its secrets if you love it enough, by the great Dr. George Washington Carver. I have a love and a fascination for plants. That is why I pursued a plant biology degree. I didn't do it to get rich. God knows I didn't do that. There's no money in it at all. I might as well have tap danced on the street if I actually wanted to make more money to be a botanist. But that was another joke. It's kind of a bad joke, but again, it's okay. I need to just have a sign behind me that's like, laugh. But when you love something, when you understand something, when you connect with something, you will discover information that you will never have thought was there. And that's what happened with this presentation. As I was doing research, as I was looking into information, as I was going deeper into what I wanted to present to you all about vanilla's blackness. Now, before I go into the different sections that we're gonna have, I want y'all to keep this thing in mind. We're starting off real hot. That's why I'm trying to get y'all to laugh. A lot of jokes, a lot of laughter, right? A lot of cackling. We want that. Near about the middle of this presentation, it's gonna get a little serious, a little sad, a little depressing, right? So I need us to kind of pump it up now so that way we can be where we need to be. So, presentation overview. This is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about xanth and what is that? What does that mean? We're going to go into the botany of vanilla. can't really talk about a plant without explaining the scientific science behind it. I got lost on that scientific science. Y'all ignore that. Orchid is queen. We're going to talk about that. What does that mean? Black brilliance, distasteful prejudice, and black hands. There's a couple of videos that I'm going to skip over that I'm going to implore you to look over because the videos, I threw them in there just for reference. Those of you who are like, oh, I want to see these videos and see these things, I'll tell you, like, this is the point. Take a screenshot, take a picture, so you can get the information that you need. There's only one video that I will actually play today that was sent to me by a dear friend. So, Xanth. We're starting our history, our journey with vanilla. And we're starting with the earliest recorded people who had interactions with this plant. Those people were the Totonac people. This statue you see on your screens, that's right, man, take a picture of it. We love that. This statue you see on your screen, and this story you see is the cultural understanding of the Totonac people, of Mexican cultures, of where vanilla came from. Because when it comes to some plants, we have like a scientific origin and there's like a cultural origin of where did this plant come from, where did it originate, right? That is a real beautiful thing. Now that translated into English is all of this here. I'm gonna let y'all in on a little known secret. I'm an Eastern Carolinian from New Bern, North Carolina. I don't pronounce words good, and especially words with T's and Z's and Z's and K's. I'm not gonna even try. I try to ask some people. I knew, like, hey, can you help me pronounce this? And I immediately gave up. My tongue got a cramp. It was the most terrible thing in the world. Thank you for smiling. Thank you for the couple of laughters in the corner. Tongue got a cramp, so I gave up. So I'm gonna give you a synopsis of this. That was your time to take pictures of this for those who want to read it later. There in the village existed a warrior king. He was loved, he was phenomenal, and he had a daughter who he cherished dearly. This daughter was the most beautiful, stunning person in the world, like most of you or all of you in here today. Her name meant morning star. She was beautiful, intelligent. She had everything he was looking for. All the songs you used to play when you were getting ready to go out, she had all of those, everything you had and you can think of, right? And her daddy, the king, was like, no man is going to be with my daughter. I don't care what you are, no dates, no kissing, no boys. And she said, Daddy, I'm going to show you something. So what did she do? I know that's what you're wondering, Anna. You said, what did she do? Where did she go out and do? She ended up sneaking out with a boy who was a warrior. And they snuck out. Daddy didn't know. Daddy kind of found out. Her and the boyfriend, they was, having great love affair. It was like Romeo and Juliet and Lucy and Ricky and all of them and Dick Van Dyke back in the day. And they was coming together and they had to escape and run away to get married because their daddy wouldn't allow it or her daddy wouldn't allow it. Daddy found out, and as a logical average father would do, he sent his warrior priest out with lava monsters to end up getting his daughters back, because that's the only logical thing to do in this situation. Thank you. I was like, let me laugh at myself here. Again, we get our giggles out. Let's go ahead. When it came to that, he had his daughter and her boyfriend, potential husband, cornered. They brought them to the top of a volcano. They were both ritually sacrificed. Their hearts were taken out. I think I heard a whoa. Whoa is right. They were ritually sacrificed. It really escalated there. They were ritually sacrificed. Their hearts went on either side of this volcano. And when the people who came back later, was like, oh, wow, that was crazy. Y'all remember what happened last year? They were like, oh, it smells beautiful over here in this area where like a heart just fell over. And they ended up discovering, thank you, Anna, that's hilarious. They ended up discovering this beautiful aromatic plant. That plant was vanilla, right? And they ended up naming it Xanth, or hidden flower, because it was something they didn't see. So that is the cultural understanding of this story. And that picture is them two prior to their hearts being taken out. It's like a stone selfie before any of that happened. I think if you turn it around, you can see their daddy creeping up in the background with the lava monsters. It's very interesting. There you go. You got your picture. Good deal. So the botany of vanilla. Botany is the scientific study, biology of plants. When we are talking about the botany of vanilla, we're talking about nomenclature. We're going to be talking about naming, nomenclature, understanding. Vanilla rather, is in the orchid family. So like the orchids you can go and get from your big box stores, right? Your Walmarts, your Home Depots, your Lowe's. you can go and get you a vanilla orchid from not potentially those stores, but some of your garden centers. A place called Gunter's in Durham will sometimes sell vanilla planifolia. That is the species that we all enjoy. So for those of you who have like real vanilla extract, vanilla paste, it's coming from that plant mostly, even though there's over 100 species. A lot of species. It's also known as flat leaf vanilla, but other species exist. Now, I know some of y'all were real accomplished. Y'all was real excited that I said vanilla planifolia so quickly. I know y'all were really impressed, right? Yes. I felt y'all would be. I'm going to be impressed with y'all right now because y'all are going to say it back to me. This is participation. Ayo. Ayo. Those of you online, I want you to do the same thing. And it's easier for them because there's nobody around them. If they mess up, it's okay. So we're going to say the first one, which is real easy, vanilla. There we go. I think like 3/4 of y'all said it. Let's do it a little louder. Vanilla. Awesome. Planifolia. Phenomenal. Wasn't that easy? That's good. It was. That was the answer I was looking for. Round of applause for yourselves, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now that plant is native to Mesoamerica, specifically Mexico and Belize. There's also vanilla species that are native to the United States of America, specifically in Florida, right? But they are endangered, even though this plant is widely produced, widely enjoyed. The plants themselves are endangered. The name is derived from vania, which is Spanish for sheath or pod, which is related to how the actual flower pods look or the vanilla beans look. Here's a quick description of it. It is a perennial green vine that grows about 200 feet up onto other plants. It hooks and connects to other plants, calling it hemi-epiphytic, semi or hemi-epiphytic. So it's kind of pulling water or liquid from the surface of whatever it's connected to. So in nature, it'd be growing up other species, other trees. It has these bright green leaves, which we can see in this picture below, and we'll see it a little bit on the next slide. It is a fragrant flower, and it is hermaphroditic. This flower has both male and female parts, right? This plant generally cannot self-pollinate without human intervention. Keep that in mind. Without human aid or a pollinator, this plant cannot actually self-pollinate itself. Tomatoes, you give them a good shake. Those of you who are growers of plants, you can get a good tomato, right? For your watermelon and your gourds, they need help if they don't have a pollinator, but that's something that's still easily accessible. But again, that's going to be something big. The ovary swells into a bean that's about 8 inches long at a maximum, right? And it takes around 9 months for it to ripen. 9 months. So from the time of pollination until the time you actually get a bean that you can start processing to enjoy, 9 months. There's not to finished product that you get in the store. That's just to the bean, okay? And it contains thousands of seeds. You see those if you get like vanilla bean ice cream that has all the black specks. Those are literal vanilla bean seeds. And this is a better picture of it here. Beautiful flower. I actually grow this plant in my apartment. I know I'm a show off, I am. So it's growing and it's variegated, it's beautiful. It's about 1.5 feet right now, and they generally takes a couple of years to make fruit. So once you start a cutting or you start a seed, you get it up, it takes about 3 or so years for you to actually get an actual potential to get vanilla bean. So here is a beautiful picture that I love to show people because why not? Why not look at a cross-section of a flower? It's what I do for fun. I hope y'all do the same thing so we can see the inside pieces. At the top of the picture, you can see where it's pointing to the anthers, the rostellium and the stigmata rather. Those pieces have to be connected, manually pushed together, like folded in. There's a video that'll show you. So I've seen some videos, but how the movement actually happens is confounding to me, and I'm a whole plant biologist. The fact that this was discovered by the person it was discovered by, in the time it was discovered by that person, is phenomenal. So, import-export. The United States is the largest importer of vanilla beans. Madagascar is the largest exporter. Where did the plant originate in? Mesoamerica. We got people who are paying attention. Bingo bongo. So it is not in Mexico or in Mesoamerica. It's in Africa that we're getting this plant in mass. Beautiful thing here. It is the second most valuable spice. The second. We talked about spices earlier with my friends in the back. What is the most valuable spice?
Saffron.
Saffron. Bingo bongo. Thank you to the several of you who knew that. I paid a lot of people to give me answers. But it's the most popular flavor. Everybody loves vanilla. I know it's crazy, isn't it? You are just in shock and awe. I love that. I love that. That's how I said when I was making this. I was like, whoa. Flies were flying in my mouth and everything. Its pollinators were thought to be the orchid bee, okay? Had to make an adjustment. I talked to some botany friends at State. They thought it was to be that because somebody just said it. Nobody's actually seen it happen. So it just got into books, which is where I made my big purple discussion earlier about colonialization and things just being said. So there's mystery pollinators, though, that they think to be in nature. But if you're not growing it in where it's an area where it's naturally at, you're not going to have pollinators. Like you won't be able to get honeybees or native bees outside of those areas where it doesn't grow native to do anything with it. And again, I keep repeating, it can self-pollinate by human intervention. So this is a quick overview of where the plant traveled from, right? We're starting in the, I think, early 1500s, 1400s in Mesoamerica. The plant was then transported to Madrid and London, Paris and Antwerp in the 1500s, the 1800s. People were enjoying it. That was due to, I think, Spanish colonialization. From there, in the 1800s, early 1800s, it was sent to Reunion, Madagascar. And after that, it exploded and started going out to all other areas. So before really the mid 1800s, this was not an easily acceptable or easy, abundant, heavily abundant plant. There we go. There we go. I know words. So keep that in mind. Orchid is queen. We're going to be seeing some beautiful stuff here. So again, I encourage you all to ooh and ah. I encourage you all to feel whatever you're feeling, laugh and all that other stuff, because this is not speaking as usual. The Totonac people were the historic people that we first know that were working with vanilla. They are indigenous people to Mexico, right? In the states of Veracruz, Puebla, and Hidalgo. But until the mid-19th century, they were the main producers of vanilla, these native peoples, right? They were also heavy agriculturalists, as a lot of early and indigenous peoples were. They worked with maize, cotton, squash. If you've heard of like the Three Sisters growing method, I believe that was also something that they were working on as well. So a couple of quick factoids. They called it Saneth. They didn't call it vanilla. And even then, I'm probably mispronouncing it. But they called it that X letter right there. They were the first indigenous people to encounter the Spanish in Central America before being conquered by the Aztecs, right? And there's a cool history that you can, look up on your own time and dime to understand the intersection between like vanilla becoming a thing and chocolate becoming a thing, and both of those becoming a thing, along with sugar, which gives us a lot of our beautiful confections that I enjoy. I love them so much. We're going to go ahead to the next thing. I started thinking about cookies. I just went there somehow. I'm trying to do this to myself because I have ice cream in my refrigerator at home, but we're not going to think about that. We have rain, though. Rainia's Rain, right? There's a vanilla festival that happens yearly in Mexico that predates Spanish conquest. A vanilla festival that's been happening since around the 1500s, 1600s approximately, right? Every summer in Veracruz, they do a whole celebration, and a queen or a princess is awarded, crowned, and she serves for a year. Now, for them to participate in this festival, which you'll see some beautiful pictures of, you kind of saw it in the first one, you have to make your crown and your regalia. And you're making that from vanilla beans. That first picture where I was like, hey, orchid is queen, those were vanilla beans braided into a crown. Amazing, 8 inches of something braided into a crown. They can be adorned with jewels or other ornaments, and sometimes to give them that extra razzle dazzle, they soak it in vanilla extract. Amazing time. right? The women of yesteryear, and even sometimes today, would perfume themselves with vanilla. The Aztecs would use it to flavor a cacao beverage, again, going into that intersection of chocolate and vanilla. Now, at that point, I don't think they had access to sugar, so it wasn't, a Nesquik or Yahoo, even though Yahoo isn't real chocolate. But it wasn't any of that stuff that we're thinking today. But that was still something that they did. And when you think of how beautiful these crowns are, wow is right. When you think of how beautiful this crown is, this is Marichu Mondragon from 1981. That is her crown that she made in 1981. Phenomenal, phenomenal work, right? You have Tanya Zayas in 2014. She made a scepter. I told y'all, vanilla, 8 inches. Imagine how many 8 inches you have to put to be able to make this. How much work, how much hand-eye motion. It's like the sweetgrass braiders of the Gullah Geechee people, right? A lot of great work. And that great work and that celebration culminates to this man. Now, those of you, I know all of you saw my outfit today. Y'all like it? Y'all like what I got on? I made it myself. This is a beautiful fit that gives credence and honorarium to the reason that we have access to vanilla that we do, who is this gentleman, Edmond Albius. You look back and forth, you see, have the same picture. I made the presentation, I made this fit. It was amazing. It's amazing when you can do stuff, right? So we're going to talk about Edmond Albius, okay? Y'all read that real quick. I'm going to get a drink of this thing here. Y'all just kind of, sustain silent reading. This is great for the students getting life credits. Now again, this is where it's going to get a little down in the dumps, because unfortunately, all history isn't beautiful. I'm still going to throw some jokes in there, so y'all definitely need to laugh now. Edmond Albius was born on Reunion Island in approximately 1829. He passed in the 1800s. His mother, he had a lot of stuff going on, so this is kind of like a laundry list of horrible things that happened to him. His mother died in childbirth, right? He never knew his father. Of course, he's born in the early 1800s, so he was born enslaved, right? And he had to forcibly work for his master, who was Beller Beaumont. His master, while being a racist and, enslaving him, did teach him botany and horticulture. So, even good things can come out of evil. But his master, when he received, and this is Beller Beaumont, received vanilla cuttings in the 1800s, he did all he could to try to keep this plant alive. Now, those of you who are plant growers who grow plants now, raise your hands. Who grows plants? Indoor, outdoor, any type of plant at all, right? You, right now, can go to the internet or the local library, for anybody that still goes there, and you can look up information as to how to keep any plant alive. You can go to a bookstore, and you can purchase all types of books. There's all types of YouTube videos, some are more right than others, that will tell you what to do to keep a plant alive, right? This is the 1800s. They had none of that. So especially when you're taking a plant from its native area, and they were lucky enough to survive the long ship ride to wherever they were going, it was kind of like, hey, figure this out. Whoever can figure this out, you're now the historic person that figured this out. So keeping them alive was one thing, getting them to pollinate was another. Beller Beaumont got, I think, three to five. He only kept one alive, and he could not pollinate it. Because again, it's not as simple as tomatoes where I just shake the plant and I'm good, I'm done. The wind shook the plant, it did it for me. It's not as easy as gourds, where gourds have a male flower and a female flower. You can tell the difference by looking just below the flower, and then you just get like your finger or cotton swab, and boom, boom, you're done. It wasn't that simple. He couldn't figure it out. Beller Beaumont was a whole horticulturalist and botanist in this time. So one day he goes back out to look at this one plant he has that's alive, and it has a fruit up there. There's only one person who could have did it, and it was Edmond. Edmond was 12 when he pollinated this plant. He learned the act of pollination by Beller Beaumont showing him how to pollinate watermelons, and he applied that same concept using a twisting method and a blade of grass. Beller Beaumont was so flabbergasted, his racism dropped off of him, and he went and told all the people, that was funny, his racism dropped off of him, and he went and told all the people, and he said, hey, look at what he probably used a different word, enslaved person did. I almost used a different word myself. I caught myself, remember that I was online. No one believed Edmond did it. I really almost slipped. I'm glad I pulled that one back in. No one believed Edmond did it because you have to think of the racist values of that time, right? A 12-year-old pollinated this plant that no one else has been able to do except for one German botanist whose method was like, I think, 30 to 50% chance of working. No one else has done this, and you're telling me this enslaved African child has done it? But Edmond ended up having to teach after the other racists were kind of like, oh, okay, I guess we'll not be as racist as we can be and learn from this black kid. They ended up learning from Edmond. Edmond taught all people. So all people who know this can trace their teaching back to one person, an enslaved child. And he taught them all how to do it. The vanilla industry went through the roof. Imagine, those of you who buy vanilla beans, anybody makes their own vanilla extract, those of you who buys it, you know how expensive it can be, right? Those of you who don't even, who buy the extract or the paste, you know how pricey it can be. And we still use this technique to this day. It's amazing. We still use this to this day. To this day. Every vanilla product that you will ever run into, for the most part, unless it's somehow wild harvested, which I don't think exists on the market, and is not in abundance, has been pollinated by somebody's hands. Somebody had to do that by hand. So think of every bean since in antiquity, since it left the Totonic people. That's a lot of beans, a lot of hands, a lot of flowers. Now going deeper, you know, Bella Beaumont, again, he becomes a Pixar hero. He was a Disney villain, now he becomes a Pixar hero. He was like, you know what? Edmond has really transformed, if you will, the France economy, because Reunion was a colony of France. This plant is just getting us everything. We can pollinate this and 9 times out of 10, get an actual bean in 9 months. It's a surefire thing. Let's get this enslaved child, now becoming a young man, a state pension. And Bella Beaumont, to his credit, tried again and again and again. And France was like, Chocolat bleu, we are racist, we will not do it, right? So there we go, I got you. Y'all wasn't expecting that one. So Edmond was liberated at 19, and he worked odd jobs, but he was later jailed unjustly and then freed, and then he died broken penniless. So all of us are aware of AI. We may not know exactly what it is, but you know people are making money off of that and like cryptocurrencies. Imagine that you as a teen discovered cryptocurrency, AI, search engines, the computer, the cellular phone, a camera, something that revolutionized the world. And you made that discovery, and now you have to go into McDonald's and you're working at whatever minimum wage is. Envision that. You're now in Walmart and you're greeting people and you're checking people out and sweeping floors, but you're the person that made the cash register. Like, really envision how maddening that must be. And he died at 51. No stipend, no true appreciation. It's not really until now that a lot of people are even talking about his historical contribution to vanilla and this technique that he founded. Again, that we use to this day. People may not use a blade of grass anymore, but his technique we use now. If it wasn't for him, vanilla would be way more expensive and way more rare. We'd be like, oh, I've never tasted vanilla. It would be that life, but we don't live in that world. So there's this video, it's called The Flavorful Story of Vanilla. I'm not gonna play it. This is your time to take a quick picture of the screen. The Flavorful Story of Vanilla, it's on the YouTube. Around 2 minutes and 30 seconds is where I was gonna go to, but for those of you who are like, I'm just gonna watch the whole thing, then go ahead and do that, okay? We're skipping in 3, 2, I see this person in the back. There we go, I got you. You got it? Okay, 1, boom. I didn't want to go further and, you know, jump you off here. So we have distasteful prejudice. So this picture is not real. Those of you who know how to spot AI pictures, if you really look at it, you can tell it's not real. I know how to spot AI pictures, I also know how to Photoshop. So I did a lot of stuff so you wouldn't tell the obvious issues in this picture. But it's not real because cameras weren't really prevalent in the time frame I was looking for a picture of this at. And Black children weren't allowed to enjoy vanilla ice cream back in the day. Black people weren't allowed to enjoy vanilla ice cream back in the day. We have 2 mothers here. Y'all must have been talking about that in the past.
That's why we're here.
That's why you're here, okay? It's a thing that a lot of people just didn't know about. I learned about it from a show called Lovecraft Country that used to be on. Loved that show. Very sad HBO canceled it. They referenced it. I started looking it up. It's a very difficult thing to find any book historical things on. Again, keeping in mind what colonialization and racism does. But there's all types of anecdotal stories on it, including this one from Dr. Maya Angelou. Now, usually, when I talk about Dr. Maya Angelou, I go into a voice. I do a voice. I was gonna pull it out for y'all and really shock y'all with it, but y'all wasn't laughing today, so I'm not gonna do it. People in stamps used to say that the whites in our town were so prejudiced that a Negro couldn't buy vanilla ice cream except on the 4th of July. Other days he had to be satisfied with chocolate. Vanilla is the reason we have it is a Black person. The reason we can enjoy ice cream is Augustus Jackson, I believe, another Black person, right? You have 2 Black bodies, 2 Black brilliance, the culmination of 2 Black people's brilliance. That is the reason that we could even enjoy those things, and they could not have it. Now again, this wasn't stratified as a law, not by far. But just like most things in the South, it was an understanding, right? Still, in where I come from, and again, I come from New Bern, North Carolina, I know of several areas on the coast that I have an understanding that I'm not supposed to be at. Yeah, I know, it's one. One I can think of is Radio Island. I'm not gonna go there. And if I do, I know I'm not coming back. So this is something that was a part of Black people's experience. And I wanted to go down the line because it always comes up, especially with some of my Black older people. Is that why we enjoy butter pecan versus vanilla ice cream? Potentially. If I had to put that in here, this would have been 1,000 slides. I would have never got this done. I did this last couple of years ago. It would have never made it, right? So we're going to get into the culmination of why we are here, Black hands. Because again, all vanilla that you see is pollinated by somebody's hands, specifically Black hands, the people of Madagascar. Here's a video that shows you the hand pollination technique. And this is of a gentleman in Brazil, I believe in the Belize, I should say. He had to separate 2 pieces that block self-pollination, put them together, hold it, and now he's done. Now he's showing this for a video, so he's going a little slower. This is like 30 seconds of a video. So he may be able to do this in 10, 15 seconds. But multiply that by how many vanilla beans exist. Across time and space, you get a bundle of 20, and that's 20 times 10 seconds, that's 200 seconds. Not to mention the 9 months it took to get that and all the resources it took to put it together. And you would think, because we said this plant was so important and it's so pricey, that the people of Madagascar would be living like multi-billionaires. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Even though Madagascar is the highest exporter of vanilla, they also have a very high poverty rate of 80%. Over 70% of the farmers, or the population rather, are farmers, and only 13% have access to electricity. So you mean to tell me that you have a whole vanilla plantation, basically, that you are taking care of, and you can't even go in the house and enjoy central air after you're done? Wow, ain't it? Ain't it crazy? Farming vanilla can take about 3 years. So if you start right now, if you start at the beginning of this year, it takes 3 years for you to actually see the potential returns. So this is 2025, 2028 would be when you see potential returns. But unlike if you were to grow it here, there's bean thieves, people, sometimes adults, sometimes children, who will run into your fields and take your beans. So You've waited the 3 years before you get a harvest. You're seeing them come. It's like when I grow tomatoes sometimes, or I grow, a beautiful bell pepper, and you're looking at it, and you're like, I'm gonna eat that tomorrow. I'm gonna cut this tomato up, slice it with a little salt, pepper, put it on a tomato sandwich, and go on about my business. And then you go out the next day, and it's gone. But unlike one tomato, this could be your whole field. Acreage of vanilla beans gone overnight. So for those people who are so poor, who are doing this backbreaking labor to get their field started by often using hand tools, they're now harvesting their beans prematurely. And because they're harvesting their beans prematurely, those of you who are like culinary people, who are like, oh my goodness, I'm noticing that it doesn't taste as vanilla-y as it used to, that's why. And go back real quick, the revenue, again, even though people are so poor, approximately 250 million US dollars. So this is a lot of words. It's an article that you could read. I had, again, my cousin, ChatGPT, summarize this because it was a lot of words. There was so many words. This is still a lot of words. That's 2 slides. So this article here, food insecurity, the ability to feed yourself. Up to 76% of those who responded faced periods of inadequate food access due to small land sizes, less than 4 hectares, and the traditional farming practices that they're doing in Madagascar that are leading to low yields and erosion. Your land isn't returning to what you're looking for, right? And because of that, because you're poor, and it takes 3 years for you to get vanilla, some people are now saying, let me do both vanilla and rice, right? So they're producing vanilla, they're producing rice, because those who produce rice with higher yields, even though rice is cheaper in comparison to vanilla, are still finding themselves well fed. The challenges of vanilla farming in general is the prices can fluctuate because those you're selling it to, like in the chocolate industry, can just say, hey, this is the price we're paying, take it or leave it. And if you leave it, you're starving. You're pretty much dead. You can't leave it. So you have to take it. You have to take what people say. And while chocolate and vanilla are having co-ops and organizations that are working to normalize pricing and stuff, governments that are working to normalize pricing, that's a slow go, especially in this political climate. Household demographics, right? Larger households on smaller lands, they are having higher food insecurity. There's more people in less land. You don't have enough land to make enough money to feed people, right? It's terrible. In addition to, again, people don't know sustainable farming practices. I can go on YouTube right now or contact anybody with Cooperative Extension and reach out to people to get great information on how to grow plants and how to return things to my soil in my yard. And because of what I do on social media and who I am, I have people who send me products for free 99. It's the best thing in the world. To go to my mailbox and a $200 product is in there for me versus bills. I am so excited anytime it happens, but they don't have that same luxury. And especially with climate change happening, that's impacting what people can actually do. We have a hurricane here a couple of years ago. New Bern was flooded. It was a terrible time. It was horrible. People were able to rebuild, restructure, and hopefully make it. And there were some people who couldn't. But in a world where you're farming vanilla and a hurricane comes through, a tornado comes through and wipes out your crop, and you were at year 2.5, it's not a, let me just pick this back up and let me split these back up. You're done. You're done. So international efforts trying to teach regenerative agriculture have been going on. There's been global goals trying to fight food insecurity and other organizations trying to normalize pricing of the vanilla. This is another video doing this talk while you take a picture of it again on the YouTube. Vanilla in Madagascar, best vanilla, and you get to see people actually start a field for their vanilla. And they trellis them on bamboo poles. They are terraforming what was a forest by hand. They're not just calling a business down the street, and they come in with machines and gas-powered or electric-powered somethings, right, and going through it. And those of you, especially who are here at the Botanical Gardens and you do landscaping, you know, you do some stuff by hand, but some stuff you need a machine. They're taking whole trees out by hand, hand-powered everything. And this is another video. I told you I was skipping all the other videos. Again, take your picture. Vanilla is the most expensive spice. So why do Madagascar's farmers live in poverty? And it talks about what they have to go through. And similar to chocolate, when you're growing chocolate, there's a whole thing of chocolate slavery, child slavery, where children are basically being kidnapped to produce some of the world's chocolate from some of your favorite chocolate vendors. It's a shock. A lot of people don't talk about it. A lot of people don't know. But it's an unfortunate thing. Unlike that, in the opposite direction, you don't have child slaves, but you have people who are being basically, unfortunately, gunned down for stealing vanilla. You have two poor people who are basically now at odds with each other. One who's like, I have to carry a machete or a shotgun and take these people out, and one who's like, I need these to feed my family. Because the company you sell these vanilla beans to, even if you do a code, and they're showing some of these videos where you can do like a serial code on the beans, even if you do that, companies are like, whoever gave me this bean is who I'm giving the money to. So these are all my references, okay? I show this because I want y'all to know I did a lot. Did a lot of looking. Did a lot of looking. So much looking. I'm so proud of myself. Thank y'all for taking pictures of all my looking. This was a lot going on. I was like, wow, I really did it. 21. I'm a savage. Questions, comments, or concerns? There's no such thing as any dumb ones. There's a survey here you can do. I think that survey is still up. You can fill it out, take a picture, the QR code, and you can be able to do a yes, ma'am, in the purple.
Does anyone know what the Botanic called vanilla?
They called it Xanath.
No, they called it Santa.
Yes. So they called it that. That was their name for it. But when you think about that, think about so many other plants that we enjoy that we don't know the original cultural people's names for. Some of that is just lost. Thank you for that question.
Derek,
Start with
Derek, I had one online, and I'll remind the folks in the room, we'll bring the microphone over to you so that everyone can hear your questions.
Good.
This one came in a few minutes ago. What is one of your most memorable interactions with someone involving vanilla?
my most memorable interaction with someone involving vanilla. That's funny you mentioned that. This class came from me talking to a gentleman. I posted a meme from Twitter. I'll never call it the other name. And that meme was saying how black vanilla was, which started my thinking that led to this class. I posted it online, and a botanist from Amsterdam, a former close friend, thought it was the most laughable thing in the world because it's not actually black, ha, 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 ha. It's actually Mexican more than that. But you know, it's this and that and the other. And I didn't realize it at the time that he was stupid. Some people that sneak up on you, stupid sneaks up on me to try to sneak up on me. So I had to shoo him away because I block people. That's what the summary of, I'm gonna say that. So boom, most memorable. We have other questions right here.
Did the Totonic people know how to pollinate the plants, or were they being pollinated naturally, do you think, then?
No clue. It's something where maybe they figured it out. It's very possible. They grew up, they were living around it, but it's hard to say. There was a question right here in the lady in purple, right? Or right here, yes.
True confessions. How successful were you growing your vanilla plant?
True confessions. How successful was I? Killed the first three. Took them out because it took me some time to really learn that I don't do well with plants in sphagnum moss because I tend to overwater. I can look up information. Again, we have access to it, especially me. I know all people everywhere, but sphagnum moss didn't work for me. Once I got my plant, it was like, you're in soil now, and I'm going to keep you in this area I have that's enclosed, that I made my own greenhouse basically out of an aquarium. We're in the money now. It's growing perfectly. So thank you for that.
Question.
Yes, sir.
I thought Madagascar was a French colony. Is
Yes.
Madagascar a French colony?
It
How did that
was.
happen?
Say that again.
How did Madagascar, I thought was a French colony. How did that happen?
How did it become a French colony? That's a very good question. That's something that I'm going to return to you to go into the historical, like Encyclopedia Botanica. I have no clue. I didn't do that. I didn't go into that one. That's history. That's more, you know, sociology, social studies. And I'm just botany, so I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. Yes, sir.
So I know that a lot of the flavorings are artificial. What's the scoop on artificial flavoring with vanilla?
That is a thing that people have asked me, and I've been meaning to look up so I can remember. And I cannot remember what the scoop, pun intended, is on the flavoring. A lot of these cheap things that they do, these chemical things that are similar, is just to make it cheaper. and just to make something that is $1, but I don't know what the chemical arrangement of that is. I know historically there's been a lot of things we've discovered taste like other things, some things for better or for worse, but I'm not all the way sure. Yes, ma'am.
Derek, when I go to the co-op or someplace and I see a bottle of vanilla that says it's fair trade, equal exchange, rainforest certified, does that really mean that those producers are getting a better return on their crops than the ones that are not?
So fair trade, rain source certified, ABC 1, 2, 3, all the letters and qualifications they put on that should mean that. But I'm sure, and I've seen this more in chocolate, there's points where it just gets difficult to say whether people are actually doing what they say they do. And this is just in any industry. But if people are actually doing what they say they do, are they actually getting the fair trade stuff? Are they actually paying people what they're worth? And that's something where we're hoping for that. We're moving towards that, hopefully. And some of those videos talk about what Madagascar is trying to do to protect its farmers and to improve its economy. But it's a slow go. It's a slow go, because if you're used to ripping people off, you don't want to do better. So you're going to do everything you can to just fight that. But I hope that answers your question. Cool beans. Other questions?
I see one.
Yes, here.
Is there any other orchid that you know of that's edible other than vanilla?
Other orchids that are edible. I feel like there is a species of Phalaenopsis flower that is edible, but I cannot remember. I feel like I've seen, well, what's that, a pansy? I feel like in some fancy drinks, there are people that will use them as garnishes, different flowers, but I cannot yet remember. It's interesting. But Phalaenopsis, I forgot to say what that is. If you go to your typical big box store and you get an orchid, 9 times out of 10, it's a Phalaenopsis. That's just like the genus of the thing. Yes?
Are the vanilla beans, are there multiples on one plant, or is each bean on its own plant?
Each bean is on its own plant. One flower has one ovary. I didn't realize they switched off. One flower has one ovary. We're good. We're good. Y'all just envision the flower in your head. One flower has one ovary. That one ovary makes one bean.
Okay. And
Yes.
how many of those flowers are on each plant?
How many of those flowers on each plant? I can't remember what it said, but there may be, I feel like, in some of the pictures I've seen, maybe like 3 to 5.
So whatever they were doing the pollinating.
So you're going up, and you have to do this like early in the morning, before sunrise. You have to get it started and go like when you're pollinating like corn. You have to do it like right when the pollen is fresh, and you have a certain timeline to do it. And again, it takes 9 months for you to see if you were successful. Any other questions?
Not a question from online, but we did have an informed attendee share that the corm of the crippled cranefly orchid is edible, kind of like a gooey potato that would be in the orchid family. They do not recommend this, though, because that's another endangered species in its native region.
Thank you, Maria. I love people helping me. Definitely going to take a picture of that so I can know that for the future. Any other questions?
We've got one more up front here, and then I think we might wrap up.
We love a wrap up.
Can assisted pollination occur between 2 different flowers, and would there be an advantage to that for more genetic diversity?
If you were growing for seed, yes, it would be a great advantage, right? But since these plants are just growing to then be fermented, and that fermenting process is shown in one of the videos, that fermenting, drying out in the sun to then be cooked or frozen, those genes are worthless. So if you're a person who's like, I want to, like the variegated vanilla I have in my house, I want to get this beautiful this or this beautiful that, then yes, cross-pollinate. But otherwise, you're just going to eat it, it's murder, she wrote. Thank you. So thank you all for all of your phenomenal questions. I'll be here for a little bit. I'm Derek Haynes, the Chocolate Botanist. I've enjoyed you all.
Well, thank you, Derek, for always being a great friend of the garden and gracing us with this wonderful outfit that you donned in today. We've got one more Lunchbox talk this month, Information and Birdsong with Dr. Jill Soha, and 2 weeks from today on June 26th. We'll take July off just to kind of catch up on all the work that I've missed over the past few months. And then we'll be back in August with some more great Lunchbox talk. So I hope to see you, if not in a couple weeks, later this year. Enjoy this beautiful day here at the garden and take care.